Benvenuto. Welcome to Cherry Hill Home Cooking. My name is Mark. Today we're going to make one of my childhood favorites. My grandmother called it green beans and gravy, which is simply green beans in a tomato sauce. What we're going to need for today's recipe is 2 pounds of green beans. We're going to need 28 ounces or a 28-ounce can of your favorite ground tomatoes. Mine is Pastene Kitchen Ready ground peeled tomatoes. That's always my go-to tomato when I'm making something with this type of sauce. We're going to need some good quality olive oil. We need oregano, basil, salt and pepper, and I'm going to put a teaspoon of sugar in this as well. That's optional. The sugar helps cut down a little bit of the acidity of the tomatoes. Then we're going to need some sea salt to boil our green beans in. We need some 1 medium onion, white, yellow, whatever, sweet, whatever onion you like best. We need 2 cloves of garlic. And believe it or not, that's about it for this very simple, easy side dish. If you were an Italian-American family growing up in the 60s and 70s, I'm sure your family had their own version of this. This is the way my grandmother made it, so that's the way I make it. You could use fresh basil in this dish if you wanted. My grandmother always used dried, so again, that's the way that I make it. Okay, let's get cooking. And we're back. Okay, as I said, this is so simple and so delicious. You'll make it every single night. First thing you want to do is you want to put your water on to boil. So I've got a pot over there on the stove with about 4 quarts of water in it. I haven't salted it yet. When we throw our beans in, we'll put our salt in the water. But you want to get that starting to boil because you're going to make your as soon as that comes to a boil, we're going to put our beans in it, and we'll be cooking our sauce in the meantime. All right? So like I said, you need your green beans. It couldn't be easier. You got your green bean. I just like to cut off the edge, depending on both edge, depending upon how big the bean is. Of course, these are fresh green beans. Okay? Then I just cut it in half. You could use canned green beans for this. If you can't get fresh green beans, or if you happen to have a couple of cans of green beans in the cabinet right when you see this and you want to make it, you could use canned green beans. Like I said, it's going to come out better if you use fresh. I wouldn't use frozen because those are not going to ever really get soft enough. Now, me personally, and the way that I like it is I like the green beans on the soft side. So you could use canned. Get fresh if possible. Then for this recipe, the garlic, I just take the garlic and I just kind of slice it really thin. All right, we don't need to be too picky about chopping it. This is all going to get cooked nice and cooked down soft in our sauce. So that's our 2 cloves of garlic, just thinly sliced. All right, and then we got our don't know what I did with my knife. Oops, over here. Sorry about that, guys. I unplugged my microphone. All right, so we don't need to be really picky about the onion. We're just going to rough chop it I just cut it in half, and then I cut it in slices like that on the side, and then just cut it down. All right, that's good. You don't have to be too persnickety with them. All right, we're going to put our green beans aside for a minute. So here we've got a saute pan. Oop, didn't want to turn it off. I wanted to turn it up to medium. I had it warming up on low, but we're going to start this on a medium-high heat. And we're going to coat the bottom of our saute pan with our good quality olive oil. You know, it's probably about 2 tablespoons, maybe a little bit more. Of course, this is nice, good olive oil. That's going to add a lot of flavor to your dish with no fat. Oh, this, by the way, this is a perfect vegetarian dish, in my opinion. You could add this, you know, have this over rice, or it escapes me at the moment. But anyway, it'd be delicious over rice. And if you want to add a little bit of protein, I can't think of the word of what it is. That's my generation. Quinoa. Or if you want to add a little bit of protein to it, you know, make up a batch of quinoa and, you know, put the quinoa down on the plate and pour your, you know, put some the green beans and tomatoes on top. It'd be delicious. All right, so back to our cooking. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get a spatula. All right, then we're going to add our onions into our oil. Try not to get grease all over the counter, and we're going to give those a nice saute. So we want to start, you know, the moisture coming out. We want them to get translucent, maybe a little tiny bit of color. That's probably going to take anywhere, you know, 5 minutes or so, 5 minutes. You can already smell them. They smell delicious. Let me clean up that oil that I spilled because it's going to drive me crazy. I splattered, I should say. There's nothing like the smell of frying onions. Yep. Do you agree? Well, and then when you put the garlic in it, that's the best smell in the world. As I was saying, this is not strictly an Italian dish by any means. This is definitely an Italian-American dish. I think everybody, like I said, if you were from an Italian-American family in the 70s, you had this probably a couple times a week. I think my grandmother started making me this because it was probably one of the only ways I would eat green beans. I love them now, but when I was younger, I hated them. This goes well with anything as a side dish. Meat, you know, chicken, beef, pork, fish. We're going to actually have this with some baked cod for dinner tonight. So this is a really versatile side dish. Now, I'm making a 2 pound, I'm using 2 pounds of green beans because, again, that's the way my grandmother always made it, and I have a hard time making small portions, even though it's just for Wade and I tonight. But we'll have this for leftovers over the next couple days, and I wouldn't be surprised if Wade made scrambled eggs tomorrow and put these, warmed up the green beans and put them over the eggs. He likes eggs and tomato sauce. But, you know, of course, you can always have it for leftovers. Or if this was there happens to be a Saturday night that we're filming this, if this was a weeknight, I would, you know, Wade would take some of this to lunch that on Monday. or during the next business day. All right, so I think we're getting there. We don't want to totally cook them all the way or get them mushy because they're going to cook more in our sauce. So I think for our purposes right now, that's good. All right, we're going to add our garlic. And give that a stir, and probably, I know I've said this many times, probably within 30 seconds, you're going to really start to cook, smell that garlic, and that should be your clue that it's at the point you want it to be, because you don't want your garlic to burn in the pan. So once we smell that, which right there about it is, we want to pour our tomatoes in. Get those mixed in. And we want this to come back up to, a hot simmer, maybe just right before the boil, because we want to get that hot so that it will continue to cook when we turn it down as we're waiting for our beans. So I'm going to turn that up just slightly. I think at this point we can add our dried herbs. If you're using fresh herbs, I wouldn't add them at this point. I'd add them right at the very end. But you can see we're already up to a boil. So I'm going to turn that down to about medium-low. Of course, that's going to depend upon what type of burner you're using. But at this point, we don't want it to boil. We want it to simmer. All right, I'm going to add our salt, our pepper, and our teaspoon of sugar. That smells good, huh? And you just want to get that all combined. All right, so see, that's at a boil. I want it just a little bit more gentle than that, because we want this to reduce a little bit, not much. So that's why we're not going to cover it. Always keep in mind, anytime you put a cover on anything with liquid in it, you're not going to be reducing it. All right, so like I said, I'm going to turn that down to just a tad, to just about medium-low to low. All right, and we're going to let this simmer for, I should say, while we do our beans. So let's check our beans, our water. We're at a boil. All right, guys, so then I got my sea salt. I always use sea salt when I boil pasta or vegetables. Again, because that's the way my grandmother did it. All right, so I'm going to turn that back up to high. We're going to add our sea salt in. Really easy. All right, I'll be right back. See, I'm back. All right, so we got our green beans. We can give those, get them all in the jacuzzi. Give it a little stir. Get that salt all mixed in there. Now, 2 tablespoons of sea salt might seem like it's a lot. Well, really, in reality, the grain of sea salt is a really big grain, so it's not that much. Now, could you omit the salt? Yes, if you're limiting your salt for one reason or another, you could eliminate the salt. maybe add your favorite salt substitute that you use in there. But anyway, we're gonna bring that back to the boil. And I'm not going to bore you all with making you watch me do that. But as soon as that comes back to the boil, you're going to let it cook anywhere between 8-10 minutes. All right, I'm going to say 8 is going to be the perfect time. We don't want them cooked through. We want them to cook to al dente. They're going to get a bright green. Then we're going to strain them, and we'll go on to the next step of the recipe. So we'll see you when the beans have cooked for 8 minutes. Okay, our sauce has been simmering for just about the 8-10 minutes while we've been cooking our beans. You can see it started to reduce a little bit, but maybe a good time to give it a little bit of a taste right now. Perfect. It doesn't need any more salt. If you taste it, it might taste a little salty at this point, but remember, we got to add the beans in. And it should be just about done. Okay, Google, cancel. All right, gonna go over and get our beans. Google doesn't want to listen. Stop. Okay, Google, stop. All right, our beans are al dente. You can see they're, I don't know if you can see through the steam, but they're still nice, a beautiful, vivid green. You got a little bit of take to them. All right, so I'm going to shut that off. I'm going to carefully walk to the sink, and I'm going to strain them. Wade mentioned that it looked like a lot of water for the beans. This is a big pot, so all those beans in there did look like it wasn't that much in there. But, you know, 3-4 quarts of water is good. You want them to be able to move around. The water. All right, and then we're just going to move them into our tomatoes. Get them all nice and coated. And basically, we're done. We're going to let this just continue to saute on low for probably another 10 minutes. Soften up the beans a little bit more. Let those flavors all meld together. The doneness of the beans is completely up to you. If you like them a little firmer, take it off the heat earlier. You know, test them every couple minutes. See if it gets to the doneness you like. I do tend to like them a little softer in this recipe. So, okay. So we're going to let that simmer for about another 5-10 minutes or until the desired doneness. See you then. All right. You'll see our sauce has reduced considerably. We got them all nicely mixed together. I'm going to give one a taste. Perfect doneness for us, and I don't think the seasoning needs any adjustments. So the only thing left to do, get them in a bowl. And eat them up. There you go. Green beans and gravy. All right, tonight we're going to be tasting our green beans and gravy, as well as our mashed potatoes with our dinner tonight. We baked up some nice cod fillets, and what do you want to taste first, potatoes or beans?
The beans first.
All right, let's dig in. So simple and so delicious. I mean, you taste the nice tomatoes, the garlic, the green. You still taste the green beans themselves. I think they're
I can
perfectly
see why you
done.
enjoyed them when you were a kid.
I
These are
love
good.
them.
I think kids will like these
Favorite.
too. Yeah. Get their vegetables.
Yep. What about our mashed potatoes? What do you think?
Well, I had a sneak peek on the potatoes
Yes,
anyway.
okay,
So.
well,
Those are delicious.
they're very creamy, fluffy mashed potatoes. It's not a thick, mashed potato. It's light and that's, to me, the perfect mashed potato.
Delicious.
I mean, imagine that with your on Thanksgiving with your turkey gravy.
Yep, try it.
Delicious. Well, we actually did both of these today in separate videos, and as I said, we're combining them in our tasting as your fish.
This is good too.
Good. Again, that's just simple. A little bit of olive oil, salt and pepper, and baked it. I can't get it on my phone. Anyway, as I said, we actually did the two of these today. I hope that you try them. I hope that you love them. I hope that they become part of your cooking repertoire. And that's all I have to say.
Please like, subscribe, and check us out on cherryhillhomecooking.com.
Ciao.
Bye. Wow, this is delicious.
That fish came out good. No, I'm not. That was good.